How's everyone doing today? Welcome to the Dragon's Den podcast. I'm here with a good friend of mine and fellow streamer, Btown. I said it correctly, right?
Correct, Btown it is.
Okay. He is a streamer that I'll just let him introduce himself.
I am a former Facebook streamer. I am now a YouTube streamer. Kind of switching back and forth between the streaming softwares, trying to figure out what works best, what doesn't work, what I like, and yeah, we're here to talk about some topics, and let's get right into it. No questions asked.
Couldn't say it better myself. So, sorry about that. Um, Basically, the topics of today are just plain and simple streaming news. What's going on Twitch, Mixer, Facebook, YouTube. The basic streaming stuff that's been going on and changing. Like the term of service has been, or TOS has been changing a lot. Wouldn't you agree?
It's been a constant battle between all these softwares about who's the best, and every month they're changing with an update, and it's honestly really ridiculous.
Yeah, uh, let me find terms of service. Okay, there we go. And we know a little bit of it, like no follow for follow, and basically keep stuff clean and all nice on Twitch.
Correct.
Like for instance, third party accounts are very heavily monitored. Music is always muted if you play copyrighted music. Have you noticed the difference from Facebook terms of service to Twitch's?
In regards to the music, Facebook takes that so much work and so much consideration. Any music that is copyright or they think is copyright, even if you're playing a simple game that has to record like Grand Theft Auto and you're playing radio music, instantly you get your version muted. It's just such a battle. I mean, the way I look at it is let the people use some music. I mean, who's really going to copyright something in the stream? I mean, that's my opinion on it. It kind of makes the stream feel more alive, but I get it, it's copyright, it's not their original work, but I just feel like they could at least give some leniency like Mixer kind of does and let people use what they want to use.
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy to think about it in that point is just because I noticed a lot of differences in the 2+ years I've been streaming. And at first, they're like more okay with the terms of service, like of music. But now they delete that section of stream. Well, not delete, mute that selection of stream involving music. So it's just kind of crazy to think about it like that.
Because I mean, you got to think about in reality. I get YouTube. YouTube is a platform that many musicians and people can make music to, and they want to keep those terms of service copyrighted. I get it, but when you look at a stream version, I mean, who's really stealing music to make it their own? I mean, I think it's a whole other boundary compared to because my experience with Mixer, well, Mixer does allow you to actually play music to an extent, but that's like if you're playing a song that's not great. So they're actually the only ones that really play really good music compared to Facebook, which is, the absolute worst, especially because it's a certain platform like search engine. So search engines will use it to block it, no questions asked.
Yeah, that is true that I noticed. Because it's one of those things where it's going to really depend on how they're going to play their game and such.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, for myself, like the way I make my streams come out, the way you set the boundaries of stream is actually different totally from game to game. Usually, like when I play on Facebook, I would let people say, I play Fortnite. People can donate $5, and that automatically is a challenge that I drop my materials. $10, I drop a weapon of my choice. Between that and a little bit of background music, it just makes the stream go a whole way. And it makes it entertaining
Yeah, that I understand. Okay, there is one thing on the news involving Twitch that I want to talk about, and that is people using their their bodies as a way of trying to get more people to come in. You probably seen that a lot on the recommended feed. People doing like, and I'm not calling anyone out really, doing like squats or exercises with follows and donations. How do you feel about that personally?
From a personal perspective, I mean, it's a tough category because I get why they're doing it. I get they want to show some attraction. They want people to actually look and be like, hey, look at this. I mean, it's definitely a tough debate because people are going to do it no matter what. I mean, just as you said, many people do it. No matter what, they're going to continuously do it no matter what. I'm kind of at the point where I think I'm okay with it. If some people want to, diss me for that, that's perfectly fine. It's a way of them trying to grow because we all try things to grow. We can't stop everything. Between people, they want to show off a little bit of goods to a certain extent. I mean, I'm kind of okay with it, especially how the fact that a lot of people also do things called follow for follow. So no matter what, it's going to happen no matter what. You can't stop it 100%. So I think I'm okay with it, to be honest.
And that brings on another thing: follow for follow. Have you noticed that been going around a lot more lately?
Oh man, it's a never-ending battle between Instagram and Twitch. Even my own Discord that I own, it's a never-ending battle that people just continuously think they're gonna grow. And I'm gonna put it down real quick to all you people who do follow for follow. I mean, I do it myself. I did it when I was at 48, and I needed two more for the Twitch affiliation. So I get follow for follow for a little bit. But the problem is, you gotta think about it. You feel like a relationship. When you're streaming, people want to get to know you. They want to know who you are. They want to talk to you, learn about you. What do you play? What do you stream? They want to get to know you. So to me, follow for follow is like walking in the middle of the street. You see a girl, you go up to her, you kiss her. 9 out of 10 times, she's gonna slap you right in your face. You might get that occasional if they like it, and they might actually check you out for a few. But in the end, you're getting nothing out of it. You're not gonna accomplish anything. It's just going to waste. And if you get a couple followers, they're called ghost accounts. They're not gonna watch you in the future. They just help you boost your numbers. And that is truly how I feel about follow to follow.
My watch is going off, and I turned that watch off. Okay then. It was stopping a little bit, but okay. I never heard that example used. Walking up to a girl and just randomly kissing her.
Oh yeah, that's my favorite term to use.
But another thing I've been seeing a lot more on Twitch. I've seen it when I'm streaming. You probably seen it when you're streaming. These bots that come into your stream and promote like websites like followbot.com or just talk like they're a robot, like saying like my favorite soda is orange soda.
Oh, I know what you mean. I've had those couple where the best thing is reading those first few words. And it's the thing they'll say to you is, hello you, or hello friend. Oh, so you can't use my actual name? Okay, I know where this is going exactly.
Or they use your actual name like hello Btown. You want to get famous fast? Check out this website, and it's just like what?
Yeah, I've actually, and it's funny because I click on those a lot just to mess with it, and I'll read things like, for only $15 now, we'll send 100 quick view bots. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Come on, man.
Yeah, and that's one thing we got to think about is that it is highly, highly against terms of service to be view botting or follow botting. It's it's a no go for sure. Okay, I'm just quickly. I'm blanked out looking up a quick story. Okay, one thing I've noticed a lot on Twitch that's been going around is a change in popularity. Like when Twitch first started, it was all about gaming, and then they added more like talk shows, art, all that, and now it's just going to a shift in popularity and what's trending. Have you been sticking to what's been trending, or are you just going your own route?
It's kind of a mixture of both. I mean, I kind of stick to my own route with those guys for gaming, but I know what you're saying. Like they bring up the art channel, and they bring out the the in real life chat and all that stuff. And the way I feel personally, I think Twitch. I mean, it started off as gaming. I think it should focus more on gaming because a lot of times, for example, I'll see like the just chatting has like 60,000 more viewers compared to like actual popular games. I mean, I got no problem people just chatting and growing like that. It's good to see, but it should focus a little more on gaming. I feel because that's what Twitch was designed for in the beginning. But I get it; they want to attract all the customers they can that are going to make them money, and it's a business, and they're going to run the business so they can make money. So no matter what we say, it's probably not going to change. But I get where they're going with it. They just want to go for better for themselves because in the end, that's what a business is about. It's about making people happy, but most importantly, you want to make money.
Yeah, and I noticed in the 2 rough years I've been at this that I've seen with like popular games like Fortnite, Rainbow Six Siege, all that. They start off big, but then they dwindle down. But like the just chatting tab is still up there in numbers. In fact, it's growing even more and more.
Oh yes.
But switching up a little bit, Twitch is also not immune from its own controversies, like people streaming in bathrooms or throwing their pets. Have you been paying attention to news stories like that?
I've seen a couple. I forget what her name was. I know she got banned like it must have been at least a month ago. The whole thing where she, her cat was on her keyboard and she was trying to make it into a cat. So I maybe think of maybe 5% of that, but I know what you mean by that.
Wait, she's banned now?
Well, that was before. I mean, like I said, 5% is all I really pay attention to. That I read it somewhere on one of those Yahoo things. I don't know if she's actually being, but I know that there's whether it got revoked or changed. I'm not really too sure about that. It could be. I could be absolutely wrong. That's why I'm like only 5%. I kind of pay attention to it.
No, it looks like she's back.
Okay, so maybe it was just a temporary thing, or maybe it was just a suspension. So I take that back. Maybe it was a suspension.
Yeah, we knew what you meant. um, my personal opinion is that if you're honestly going to freak out that much about an animal on your keyboard, don't own pets, or at least own a fish, because they're not going to come onto your keyboard. Yeah, because I mean, I'll admit, there's times where it's like my dog who's on my lap right now, she is just wants attention when I'm trying to play a game, entertain people, and here she is trying to get my attention. There are times where it's just like, leave me alone. But I, you shouldn't have to throw your pet to get them to leave you alone.
Agreed.
I'm trying to remember what else I was going to talk about. I woke up just a little bit ago.
Yeah, it's still early for me too as well. Don't get me wrong. I got my coffee. I'm all ready to go.
Yeah, same.
Been a hell
Oh,
of a week. Been a lot going on.
yeah, I understand that. We talked a little bit about that behind the scenes.
Oh yes.
How about the fact that people are trying to move away from Twitch to go to other streaming platforms? Like, we had Trade Chat move to Facebook Gaming, Ninja moved to Mixer. How do you think that is really going to affect Twitch as a company?
Oh, to be honest, I've been reading statistics, and so far for the quarter full report for Twitch, it affected Twitch about a good 20% of viewers. And
Wow.
for Twitch, being millions and billions of minutes watched, it's definitely hurt. But yeah, I watch also some popular streamers like this guy's Toad. He went to Facebook. I've seen Karina go to Facebook, and I'm actually glad to see they're trying to promote other softwares and streaming because it gives you more of an opportunity, and that's what I like about it. I mean, the more platforms, honestly, the better. I think it's better because some people just don't like Twitch in general. Everyone's got their opinion, just like some people hate Facebook, and everyone's got their opinion on certain things like that.
Yeah, it seems like all these companies are more and more jumping into creating a streaming platform. I'm surprised Twitter hasn't jumped on that bandwagon.
Yeah, so do I.
But talking about that, it's like I also notice it's kind of a bad thing because a lot of, say like a lot of people who jump to Mixer, some of them are actually starting to come back. Like you said, you jumped to Facebook, then came back to Twitch.
Correct.
It's kind of confusing to the audience a little bit, trying to stick with the person they like to watch.
Oh,
How,
absolutely. Right.
how is, like, for instance, your audience took it, like you doing that switch?
Um, it put a huge effect. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, a huge effect. It definitely hurts some of my viewers who actually watched me and wanted to watch me for who I was. I just kind of wanted to change, almost to see what it's like and see if it was better. I mean, I'm not gonna obviously sit here and diss Twitch or diss Facebook, but I'll make it straight that Facebook just wasn't for me. I'm gonna leave it at that. It just wasn't what I thought it was gonna be. I mean, the whole music thing, and like I said, it happened to me where I was playing a simple GTA game and I had radio music and I got a copyright claim against me because of the music. And I feel like they go a little too tough with it, but I get where they're coming from. I can believe in the music, but that's just how I feel about it.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying there because um, change is a hard thing for people to take since they get so used to the same thing, like watching their favorite person at a certain time on a certain platform. They get used to it. It becomes routine.
Of course.
But I also notice that some people get power hungry. Like, I don't know who the streamer was, but they basically got mad at their followers. Like, oh, you come here and watch me every day, but you don't have $5 to subscribe. How do you feel about people getting power hungry and wanting, just basically wanting that money?
Yeah, it's a tough thing to talk about because I can't say I relate because I know some people. I think the biggest problem is some people who have a full time job and let's say they're making you know 2,500 a month after taxes and they switch to Twitch full time before they're ready, and Twitch they're only making like 500 a month. I feel like a lot of people kind of just set themselves up for failure before they're actually ready. Like me, I'm nowhere ready to quit full time and become Twitch. Would I love to? Oh heck yeah! But at the same time, like you gotta earn it. You have to show people why they should watch you, and you gotta have something unique. Like I said, for me, it's more than just like streaming a video game. It's something. The concept of like I think you have to be basically. I mean, some people might argue different. I feel like you have to be different, of course. I mean, it's hard to start something new because everyone's done it. But my best opinion, I think, is to watch like 4 or 5 streamers, take ideas from them, and put it together for yourself. And that's exactly what I am doing right now myself as well.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, and I'm trying to find this story I wanted to talk about. Oh, okay. I try to get everyone's opinion on this because I find it kind of funny to talk about the new PlayStation 5 and Xbox X series. Like, what do you think of the designs of those? Like, personally, I see, when I look at the PlayStation 5, I see a head of an old vacuum cleaner.
I haven't actually seen the new PlayStation 5 design. I've seen the new Xbox, and to me, it looks like one of those Zydeck PCs, like one of like the newer ones.
Yeah.
It looks kind of cool. No matter what, I mean, I'm a Xbox fan, so I'm getting Xbox no matter what. But I kind of want to see the new PlayStation now. I haven't taken a look at it.
Oh, it's beautiful. Here, give me a second. I'll send you the image.
Awesome. Yeah, I haven't actually seen. I haven't really been following. I'm not really a PlayStation fan, so like I don't really follow any PlayStation to be honest. Probably should, but
There it is.
oh wow.
It looks like the head of a vacuum cleaner almost.
If I had to describe it in one sentence, I feel like we're going after the Star Wars theme.
Oh, I didn't look at. Looking at it now, I see that. Kind of like the head of a robot.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like something with Star Wars is what I'm thinking.
But
Oh man, that's kind of crazy to be honest.
thinking about it, it's kind of interesting to look at and seeing how they're changing all these things. Like PlayStation, Xbox are still going to the whole center console that you can't move around. But Nintendo has been kind of killing it lately with their Nintendo Switch.
Oh yeah, that's an awesome thing.
Yeah, it's like in the way they're doing with the Pokemon hasn't been too popular with fans, but yet people are still buying it. Do you think it's just a fan thing, or do you just think people are just interested in the way they're running things?
I think it's more of 50-50. I feel like fans, they always just pick whatever they like. I mean, you can try to convert somebody who's a huge, let's say, Pokemon fan to Fortnite, and you might get them for a few, they might revert back. I feel like it's more in regards to like a fan thing.
Hmm.
It's kind of like me, for example. I mean, I'm a diehard Fortnite fan. I've been playing since season two. And I mean, I'm a huge Call of Duty fan too, but if you have like a certain Call of Duty you don't like, for example, for me, I mean, I never really liked the World at War one. So trying to convert me to going back to that, you know, I might try for a game or two, but in the end, we all know I'm not gonna go back to it. I think that's kind of how the mix is with the whole thing.
Yeah, but another thing I noticed is I grew up on consoles, and then once I got my own PC, like 6 years back, 6 8 years back, it's like I automatically switched to it. Do you think it's possible to get people to switch to different things?
If you can convert them enough and show them true statistics, or at least give them an idea, hey, this is what you're missing out on, you should try it, and maybe if you go advance and play a game with them, absolutely. I feel like you can easily convert someone. You just gotta show them the actual facts and show them what it's all about.
How about this? And this is a topic that I see a lot on the news still to this day, and it makes me just cringe almost. Do you think video games causes violence?
Um, no, I don't think so. I think there's tons of video games out there. If you look at it, my perfect example would be before video games really took off. Like for example, I mean, my video game that took off with me was Call of Duty 4, and that's going back to I think it was what, 2009 it came out.
Ooh, that was a fun one.
So if you take that further time, look at the Saw movie for example. That was gruesome back in the early 2000s, I would say.
Yeah.
Movies have been around for a long time compared to these video games. Because the very first video game that came out was like Pac-Man and Tetris. So movies have been around for 50, 60, 70 years, and those all have to do with like fighting and gore, war, and all this stuff. So do I think no? Because if you're gonna, the subject with that, you have to include movies because movies go way more advanced, especially in TV shows. Um, there's a lot of TV shows I actually watch about like violence and cops, and they show you step by step what these people will do to actually murder somebody and how they get away with it. So I feel like video games doesn't really cause violence. I feel like it's more a personal thing. They have to have a reason to do it and actually want to do it.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying there because it's also one of those things that we gotta look at because if that was really the case that video games, movies, TV shows, all that cause violence, the rate of crime and the rate of violence would go up, not down, actually.
Correct.
And personally, for me, I grew up in, putting it frankly, I grew up in a shitty neighborhood, and where there was always cops at like a neighbor's door, people always fighting. Video games was an escape for me to make sure I stay out of it. So in reality, it seems like video games and movies and all that are causing the reverse effect.
Gotcha.
Hey, wait. Thank you, Josh Trubit, for the follow.
You're welcome. That would be me.
I was like, wait, that name looks familiar. But,
Yeah, you'll see that name for one more week once I actually switch the Twitch name back to Btown. I just gotta actually wait that 30 days so I can do it.
uh, but it's one of those things. Why do you think people always have to blame video games, have to blame movies, have to blame the media, all that for causing more violence?
I feel like they have to find something to keep people wondering. The same thing goes for like, no disrespect to the females. And I mean, I worked in a healthcare environment, and I'm going for future law enforcement, so I've been researching a lot of this stuff. And basically, they'll say, why does violence happen to females? It's because the way they talk and dress and act. It's the same thing as that. If you can control your emotions and you can control your feelings, you know, it's all personal traits. Same thing goes for TV shows, movies, and games. You can't blame them for violence. It's who wants to commit those crimes, who wants to act like that, and as long as there's someone to take charge of it, then I mean you can't really blame it on something else. I feel like it's more of an excuse, to be honest.
Yeah, and for those of you who are coming in, if you have any questions you want to ask, as long as it doesn't go with religion or politics, feel free to ask. But going on to here, have you noticed one thing evolving the gaming industry and all that is that they're trying to censor more and more? But yet there's games out there that don't care, like Grand Theft Auto, to name one, or God of War.
Um, I haven't really noticed it from my perspective. I don't really know. I mean, that's definitely a tough subject. I feel like anyone could take that either way. I'm not really too sure in regards to that one.
Well, like for example, Call of Duty Black Ops. It took in the whole zombies. The back in World at War, they showed the swastika, the cross, I think it was, and all that. And here in Black Ops, they took away the swastika, like to censor it, because a lot of people complained about it.
Okay.
So my question really should be more of: do you think video game companies should feed to the people complaining and wanting that censorship, or do you think they should really show that what that history was really like?
I think it's both parties. I think what a community wants. I feel like that goes everywhere. Whatever a community wants, you should try to balance because you got to think about it, especially in the video game industry. Your people who play the game, who compliment and give feedback, are the ones who are playing. So that can really take or break a company. I mean, I've seen a lot of video games get destroyed instantly because of that. They're not listening to feedback. So people basically say, screw this, I'm going somewhere else and questions asked.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying now. Because it's one of those hard things. So it's a balancing act.
Yep.
Going back to streaming, what got you into streaming?
Oh man, to be honest, video games is like another realm for me to show, I think, who I am, to have fun, get a break from the real world, and actually have something like a safe haven to go back to and talk to and interact with. I feel like that's kind of what it was. I just feel like it's nice to interact with other people, and I love playing video games, so
Yeah, I understand what you're saying with that because, mm, sorry, coffee was running down my face a little bit.
No worries.
It's one of those things where it's like you're playing a game and you are good at that game. Why not try to entertain people with it?
Of course.
Then, with that being said, what's probably your greatest accomplishment that happened so far streaming, like on Twitch, Facebook, whatever?
Um, to be more honest, I feel like I haven't had too many accomplishments with that. I think what I mainly accomplished was bringing a bunch of people together that enjoy the same things and, all start the same thing. And what I mean by that is basically kind of like my Discord community. Like I'm bringing, close to 1,000 people together who are here for all the exact same reasons. I feel like just getting people to group together like camping, you want to get people to go on a trip with you. That's kind of what it's more been about.
Yeah, well, it actually is almost 1,000. That's a lot of people.
Sure is, and I see them growing every day.
Yeah, with that, I kind of noticed Discord, for example, it's a good place to meet a lot of people. Ever since I couldn't work anymore, I noticed a lot of people I met through gaming, through Discord, and a lot of them I still call good friends to this day. Ha With that being said, though, we talk about your greatest moment. What's probably one of the worst moments you've had on streaming?
Hmm. Worst moments I've probably had. I think it would be more or less like I've had people, donate cash to me in the past, and whether I'm too involved in the game and I forget to basically say a simple thank you. And I've actually had people unfollow me and leave after that, and it makes you feel so heartbreaking actually, because you're like, damn, I was too busy, too into this game, and I forgot to even say a simple thank you. And honestly, that goes such a long way, making sure you say thank you to everyone in the early stages, because once you get to the bigger stages, I mean, it's hard to thank everybody. So basically, you lost that viewer for almost forever. They're not coming back. They're gone. They're finding somebody else. You lost your chance, basically. That's
Yeah.
probably what it's been for me, and I felt so bad afterwards. I was like, this.
Yeah, it's one of those hard things to really sit down and think about because some of the worst moments I have had were basically the same thing where people get biddies and I'm stuck in a game and I forget to look at my alerts and go like, "Oh, hey, thank you" and all. Because it could be a kid watching you trying to escape a bad moment and it's just like, "Hey, I want to give what I have."
Yep,
And they feel unappreciated.
absolutely. Especially me, because like, my streams are more than just like video games. I mean, I said it earlier, mine are like a game show almost. So like, for me to miss that, it made me feel like complete crap, because that's what my stream is, mainly all about. It's about a game show. It's about interaction. The people who watch me and support me, they're the ones who I'm basically kind of like reacting to. They donate $10 that makes me drop a gun or something. They donate $20 that gives them the right to make their own custom in-game rule. So the interaction they get out of it is extreme. And for me to miss that and forget because I was too involved in a solo fight, man, it just 10 minutes later I felt like such an a-hole, to be honest.
Yeah. On a lighter note, what is probably one of the funniest moments that probably happened to you during a stream?
Uh, the funniest moments I think it would be is the fact where it's just having a good time, and we had this one moment where, like I said, I'm a diehard Fortnite fan, always have been, probably always will be. Especially I play in console, not PC, so it's different. But back on track, I think it's the fact that we had four of us alive in the stream, and we were trying to he ran out of bullets. No more air ammo, no more submachine gun, no rockets, and it looked like four zombies just chasing after him for, I'm talking a good solid 4 minute stream, which felt like forever. And you just see these guys all wearing the same costume. We all have the gingerbread man. We're trying to pickaxe him, and we're following him, and he's building high, and it's just a great time to interact with people and to have fun. And like I said, it's not all about trying to win. Winning's great, but we just want to have a good time, and we wanted to really just put on a show for people, and that's exactly what this is all about.
Yeah, that is always fun. When sticking to like the whole lighthearted things, have you? One thing I noticed is these charity events where people donate to like St. Jude's or the Australian Red Cross using games. Like you said, like they follow the same idea. Like $10 they drop a gun, $20 they change a rule, or something along those lines. It's kind of amazing to see we're in a world where people call gamers basically lazy, not caring and stuff. It's kind of amazing to see gamers change the narrative. How do you feel about stuff like that? We're basically proving the media wrong.
Oh, it feels so great. A lot of people get streamers on the worst direction. They never succeed unless they get famous. But he only cares about himself. It's all about money, money, money. So to see people like, for example, Dr. Lupo, who does it all the time, it's just like a heartwarming thing that you're gonna support something instead of making yourself a few extra dollars, and help you grow at the same time without gaining a little bit of income for yourself. And it just makes the heart come warm because everyone knows Twitch has a bad reputation lately. You know, it's not the best it's been. It's slightly getting better. It could be better. So to see something like that is, oh, it's just a great thing.
Yeah, that is true because it's kind of amazing to look at it thinking like when the Australian wildfire happened and people started being like, hey, let's come together and raise some money to help with that. It's just like an idea that started it. And that's kind of amazing to look at how one idea can spread into some positivity.
Sure.
Sticking to gaming, Twitch, and all that, where do you see Twitch being at 5 years from now?
Hmm. Never thought about that. I think Twitch is gonna continue to grow strong. From my experience, I do think Facebook won't become a tough competition, but I do think either Facebook or maybe potentially a new streaming software that might get invented would probably be a tough competitor. Because I mean, Twitch has a bad name. Yes, it's owned by Amazon, so Twitch will never die. That's for sure. It's not going nowhere anytime soon. But it will start to get some tough competition, especially looking at the streamer statistics on Facebook. And Facebook's more of like a friendly, family community thing compared to just straight up streaming. So I think, either Facebook or they might invent some new software is gonna put Twitch in a tough competition spot. It's not gonna be easy who's gonna get number one. But for the next 2 years, hands down, it'll definitely be Twitch. But we'll see in the future what it holds.
What about Mixer? It's owned by Microsoft. Where do you see that going in a few years?
When I very first started streaming, it was a long time ago. It was the middle of June 2018. I feel like it's exactly the same as it was now. The only difference is they have Ninja and Shroud, but those viewers went to Mixer only for Ninja and Shroud. I've seen Shroud pop off easy 30,000 viewers on Mixer. But now, no disrespect to him, he's only at like an average of 5,000. So I feel like those are only Shroud fans and not actually Mixer user fans. Because once, like, for example, Shroud gets off, they go find another streamer, or they go back to Twitch, or they go do something else. I feel like Microsoft hasn't really been like dishing out the exact updates they need. I just don't see any progress personally, myself.
Yeah, and Do you think it was a good idea that they bought Ninja and Shroud?
Oh, absolutely. Because not to mention, number one, they have the money to do so, and number two, those are pretty top names in the streaming community. I mean, Ninja and Shroud. I mean, that's like saying God with due respect. Like that goes a long way. That's a great thing for them, but at the same time, those are just diehard fans for Ninja and Shroud. They're not really mixer users. That's the problem. I mean, getting people to go from one platform to another, as we use them all anyways. We use all social media to promote ourselves: Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok. We use all the same stuff. It's hard to really convert someone to that platform 100%. You might get them to come for when they're streaming, but you know how the hosting and rating works. Shroud might host somebody else, but I've seen it happen where they'll join that stream for like 10 seconds and then 95% of them leave instantly in the first 10 seconds. So it's hard to convert people, except for that exact streamer itself.
Yeah, because we all had it happen where someone comes and raids, and if they're lucky, half of the people stay.
Of course.
Trying to stick to the subject is like we talked about where Twitch is going to be. We talked about where Mixer is going to be. What about Facebook gaming? Do you think that's going to stay, or do you think they're eventually going to stop with that?
I think that's going to be a tough competition. I mean, Facebook was around before Twitch even became famous, but since Twitch took off, Facebook is just known for social media and posting where you're going out to eat or posting pictures of kids, which I'm not, giving any disrespect towards. Since they made the community that way already, it's hard to bring back people, especially from gaming, because they got a dating app on it now. They have a marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
So for them to bring, especially Karina over and Disguised Toast and other people that I've noticed, I think Facebook might be a real tough competition. They're going in the good direction as far as picking out the streamers they want to that aren't really toxic and are actually more funny and game friendly. The next 2 years, Facebook, it might be the thing to go to be honest, from my experience myself.
Yeah, they can work out the bugs and stuff, like just copyright claim if you're playing music and stuff.
Yep.
Also, I noticed with Twitch, Facebook, Mixer, all those, it's kind of crazy to look at it and seeing every day there are people coming into the spotlight. Like with Mixer, they have the small streamer category where they're promoting new streamers, and I noticed Twitch has started doing that too with their recommended. Do you think that's a good call on their part, or do you think they could use that energy somewhere else?
Oh, I think it's a good thing absolutely because we all know it's tough to grow as a streamer. I mean, it really is all user action and call to action. Basically, like it's all about how you promote yourself. But if you can get like a little bit of a boost from the actual streaming platform itself, that can go a hell of a long way, no doubt about it.
Yeah. And it's kind of amazing to look at it from that standpoint with I found probably like 5 6 different streamers from the recommended tab that I talk to now on a daily basis.
That's good.
And but also I found streamers that I personally would not stick with, and also that are kind of toxic. Have you seen kind of those toxic people now and again on these streaming platforms?
Oh, absolutely. It's one of those things. They're almost like ants. They're gonna be there no matter what. It's whether they want to build a home for themselves. If they want to try to, they probably won't. But they'll get some following. But in the end, I mean, being toxic and only want to care about yourself only gets you so far. It doesn't really get you 100% the direction you want to go to. I found that if you treat everyone like a family, like a all about helping other people, and you're gonna help you as well. But it still falls back on the number one: how you promote yourself, because only you can make a reputation. No one else is going to. Same thing like the whole saying, you want to kill trolls with kindness. If you got people who come to you, disrespect you, and troll you, kill them with kindness. Don't sit there and ban them or tell them to F off. Honestly, kill them with kindness. And I've had people actually stick around who have trolled me. Now we're actually pretty good friends, and I got a fan because of that.
Yeah. This at this part of the podcast, this is where we talk about tips, what we learned overall. What can you say you've learned from your time streaming that you think could help other people?
Um, Number one, I might get some criticism for this, but it's the truth. You have to have a face cam. You have to have a face cam. You have to have a face cam. When people even follow you or donate to you, they want to see you for you, and they want to see your reaction. They want to know who you are. Unless you're like a pro at the game, like Hugo when he won the tournament, that's a whole different subject, of course. But they want to see you for who you are. That's probably number one. I mean, I could easily sit here and give like 100 tips, but in the end, what really matters is kind of how you interact with the community, how you go out and above to reach people, the way you respond to trolls, how you respond to quality feedback. Because I mean, you can watch a YouTube video. I mean, you'll see 1,000 videos how to grow on Twitch, and the key thing is you'll look at the views. They have like 100 views, and they have like 3 subscribers. So it's like, what information can I get from somebody that has 3 total views and 3 subscribers that's gonna benefit me? It's kind of like one of those negative things. It's like, how are you gonna help me grow, or how are you gonna give me good advice if it didn't work for you? I feel like it's all, like I said earlier, the best thing for tips is to take 5 streamers between the average viewers of maybe 50 to 5,000. Take 5 of them, see what they do, how they talk to the community, how they interact, what they're doing, and take that and put it into you. For example, I follow the Kingslayer on Facebook. He's got easy 250,000 followers, no doubt. He has his streams, same thing. It's like a game show. They can donate money, they can interact with him. It depends on what he does in the game. I also take advice from Dr. Disrespect. I use a green screen. I have these special crazy, Adobe After Effects. If you take advice from other streamers, put into yours, you create one unique category for yourself.
Yeah. With tips, what are the biggest don'ts you could think of? Well, besides follow for follow, what are some other big don'ts you could think of that would kill a stream if people do?
Honestly, biggest thing would probably be when people sit there and they don't even talk. There's just no talking, and you got to think we have that delay on some software. With Facebook, it's only like an 8-second delay. I forget how much Twitch is, but if you just sit there and don't talk until the viewer joins, you've already lost your chance, because it takes, easy 5 seconds for someone to be like, do I like you or not? You gotta talk even when no one's there. Treat that camera like it's one person, or whether it's 100 people watching you. Treat the camera as one person itself, and that's gonna change your whole way of doing it.
Yeah, I noticed that because we all make that mistake where it's like, oh, we could just get by with just our gameplay and all. And after a while, we'll learn, like, hey, we actually got to be entertainers almost. I used to say on my first Twitch channel, before I went to the family friendly route, we basically got to be the whores of the internet. We got to basically make ourselves into entertainers, but yet not lose who we are. In this part of the stream, I want to do a role reversal. I want to know what questions you have and such.
Sure. My biggest thing would be is, you said you've done streaming for 2 years. Was that all on Twitch itself, or have you tried other platforms as well?
For the first year on my first channel, I've done it all on Twitch. And I, of course, made the same mistake everyone else made. Follow for follow, not talking that much, not having a webcam. But then I tried out Facebook for a little bit and Mixer. But I then come back to Twitch with the second channel, Dragon Lagoon TV. And I found that Twitch works best for me. Uh,
Everyone's got their personal choice, absolutely. It's good that you got to at least try something else. And reverting back to the normal thing, nothing wrong with that.
yeah. What else do you got for me?
Um, as far as other social media, I mean, we all know there's TikTok, Twitter, Discord, YouTube. I feel like everyone has their favorite two of what works for them. What would you say the two social media platforms would help, whether streamers who are new or streamers who want to start something today?
I hear all the time you need to have a YouTube, you need to have a Twitter, you need to have a TikTok now. All that. For me, what I found worked best for me personally is a Twitter and a YouTube. Twitter, that's where I need to change it up. I mainly post when I'm going live on Twitter now. And trust me, that doesn't work. You will lose people very quickly for that. But also a YouTube, because that's where you can put your videos if you do like what I'm doing, recording and live streaming. So that way people can find it and go like, hey, this is actually kind of cool. I want to check this guy out live. What about for you? What are your top two?
I feel like YouTube's of course great. It's always good to have a YouTube. It's just I feel like YouTube gets oversaturated with people who kind of just post, like for example, gaming streams. That's like the number one thing. They post gaming streams directly from Twitch without any editing or anything at all. I feel like that's Twitter, Discord. I feel like those three make a huge change. Especially you can join. You know, like for me, I'm in 100 Discord, so I wake up every morning with 100 pings at least. But I only actually talk in 4 or 5 of those. The other ones are just listings to gather people who want to come to make their content be known to others, whether it's YouTube, Twitter, it's even people want to share their YouTube thumbnails. That's why I like how I set it up like this. Anyone's welcome to share their stuff, but in the end, it's definitely Twitter and Discord. I've met a lot of streamers on Twitter. I even had somebody that they follow me who has 13,000 followers, and I think she follows only like 50 people. So that right there actually made me feel pretty good. I'm like, okay, so you found with Twitter, this is getting some reputation out there. It could really go a long way.
Yeah, true. What's probably the biggest like advice you can give with right now? Like if say someone was watching this right now, they want to stream, and they took advice like the camera and all that. Was probably the biggest advice that you could give to them right now?
Honestly, just talk. Talk, talk, talk. Get to know the people who you're playing with. Just talk. You wanna, because a lot of the problem is, and this isn't downing anyone. I mean, the biggest streamer I follow is Nick Merckx. I feel like everyone knows him. He's a family guy. He's all about family and friends. But no disrespect to him. He's at that point where he gets like 30,000 people to stream. So he can't talk with everybody he possibly can in the stream, and I get that. So in the early stages, it's all about just simple talking. Get to know somebody. It's basically like when people come in, they're following a streamer for who you are. So it's like a friendship. You know, they want to get to know you. You want to get to know them. So talk, 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 talk. That's honestly the key thing. Just talk to them.
Yeah, and also what the advice I can give: find your niche, because don't just copy a streamer like 100%. Don't try to be a clone. Find your niche. If it takes you watching, like you said, 5, 6 streamers and taking a little bit from each one, then use that to find who you're going to be. Because at first, we're all going to just be those silent people barely talking to chat and all. But once you step out of your comfort zone a little bit and out a new thing, and if it works, keep it. If it doesn't, then get rid of it. Once we find what makes us who we are, streaming wise, it's going to change everything. What is your top 5 games that you would say would be good to play and stream at the same time?
I know everyone is a Fortnite fan. Trying out on Fortnite is probably the worst idea you could possibly do, unless you got a couple friends or you made a reputation already. Once you get to an average of like 10 to 15 viewers, it boosts you up on the boards, so it makes you stand out a little bit more. But as far as games, I feel like any game is fine. It's all about how you earn your reputation. But as far as like, lower saturated games, I feel like anything between maybe 80 viewers to like no more than 4,000 viewers. And that's for somebody brand new, never streamed before. Like for example, I mean, I haven't streamed the Twitch in, a month. I can all on Facebook. Once I'm done with this podcast in a little bit, I'm gonna be probably streaming some Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Now that reputation on Twitch is not good at all. I think I saw yesterday had like 80 people viewing, but that's also 80 people who aren't viewing you or know you. So if you're gonna stream on like Facebook, for example, Fortnite, you're going up against about we'll just say like 1,000 streamers. Where if you're gonna play like a play a lower saturated game in the beginning. Once you get a following, you can tell people, hey, what do you want to see today? And that's how you can move up the ladders for the oversaturated games like PUBG and Fortnite and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as like top 5 games, I feel like this is more like and what has a lower viewer base that actually gets you somewhere on the board. Please try and make a name for yourself.
Yeah, true. I didn't think about it like that because it's one of those things where it's like I look at it and see, one, what you enjoy, and two, what will help you get seen more. Well, we're getting to a good spot, so this is where I ask, you got any more questions that you feel like you need to be asked or answered? And if not, then it'll probably be a good spot to call it.
Yeah, as far as my part, I'm pretty good with it. I don't really have any questions. It's all been pretty straightforward. It's been a fun time, not gonna lie. Very first podcast I've ever done, and look forward to more in the future, baby.
Yeah, and it'll be cool to just come back and do another one after we both grown quite a bit.
Of course.
So those of you who's watching the video on YouTube or watching the VOD, again, if you don't know who this is Btown. He is a fellow streamer, and I will put on YouTube. I'll put a link to his Twitch down below. It was good having you, man.
Appreciate it. Look forward to more.
Okay, and I will see you guys in the next one. See you then, all you beautiful people. Later.